Who are the players that you need to be rolling out in your championship lineups this week? What sleeper running backs need to be deployed for you to win $1 million in the FFPC Main Event or the FFPC Big Gorilla? And what are the sleepers that you need to have in your lineup and the bus that you need to have benched? We're going to roll it out for you tonight, live here on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. We have 15th place FFPC Main Event Week 16 team owner Craig Lewandowski standing by to pop on and drop some science on you. Ferrell Elliott is here. My name is Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than need a lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Hi, hello, and welcome to each and every one of you tuning in this evening, streaming it Saturday morning, listening, downloading. We appreciate you, however you're consuming this content. This is the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. It is presented by myffpc.com. That is myffpc.com, myffpc.com. My name is Eric Balkman. You know me from the Road to Viz High Stakes Lowdown, the FFPC Insider Access Show on the Better Sports Network, and of course the Fantasy Football Players Championship. Connect with me on X at FFPC and at Eric Balkman, EricBalkman. I have such a good show planned for you tonight. We have such a good show planned for you tonight. We're going to get into a lot of stuff on the program. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns tight end situation, the Green Bay Packers quarterback situation, the Buffalo Bills quarterback situation, and of course, the San Francisco 49ers tight end situation coming up on the show tonight. We will also be visited by 15th place FFPC Main Event team owner Craig Lewandowski, who started off the week in 15th place. He slipped a little bit, but no fault of his own because he had nobody going in those Christmas Day games. We'll see where his team ends up at the conclusion of week 17 when all the prizes are doled out. This is going to be a lot of fun, and we are so glad that you're tuning in tonight to hang out with us, ask your questions, and throw the peppers in the gumbo here tonight as we get into it. If you want to connect with us on X, you can do so at hsffhour. I'm at Eric Balkman, as I stated earlier. Connect with Ferrell's Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com, at KFFSC on X, and of course, Facebook.com/hsffhour. That's where you can connect with us if you have any questions there. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball.com. If you have any questions for us, send them in now. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, all the X posts, and the emails coming up in the fantasy feedback segment coming up later on in the show. Thanks to our audio engineer and my best friend Bryce and our producer and mutual friend Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, I've delayed his appearance way too long. Please welcome in the co-host with the most, the commissioner of the KFFSC. He is one Ferrell Elliott at jferrellelliott on the X and Instagram. Ferrell, good evening. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.
Balky, good evening to you, brother. And what in the world is this you have on? What are you wearing here?
Yeah,
what is this?
This is a hoodie with no sleeves, okay?
Hey, Belichick.
This is a Baseball Life brand hoodie that my kid, my 12-year-old son who's big into baseball, which I know is sacrilege. Yeah, no, he got a bunch of baseball gear, and this was one of the things that we got, so I wear it tonight.
And do you know, in the show's introduction, not in my introduction, but in the show's introduction, you went into uncharted waters because you started talking about our last questions of the sleepers and the bust, and you fumbled over the question. Oinker turned around and looked at me and went,
my Oinker did the same thing.
Yeah, it is like, have you got a little, if we want to perform in this show better than fantasy players did on Christmas Day. That really should be our goal, because if you had players playing on Christmas Day,
Tom Smith is chiming in right now. Lots of owners disappointed by the Lions players yesterday. Yeah,
Tom, that's all players, not just Lions players. All players. There's one guy that scored.
Well, I'll say this: if you had Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're probably okay.
That's him.
But if you had Goff,
Turpin led the Cowboys in receiving on one target.
Yes, that's true. Well, here's the thing. Like you bring that up, Ferrell. What about the passing offense for the Minnesota Vikings in that Lions game?
Wow.
3 passing yards, team passing yards in that game. Max Brosmer just barely clears 51 yards, and the Lions
bless you, Matt.
By 2 scores. 2 scores. I don't get it.
Fresno State won a game this year when their quarterback threw for 25 yards, and I said that's about as worse as it would be. It's just
Listen, it's the way the ball bounces for a lot of people in high stakes fantasy football. We're in to the championship round of the KFFSC, of the FFPC, and we're going to try to do our best to help you out tonight. I mentioned some of the things that we're going to talk about early on in the program tonight. I also want to get to with Craig Lewandowski, the 15th place team owner in the FFPC Main Event. Let's get into Jackson Dart. Let's get into Aronde Gadsden, Tedero and McMillan, all these tough lineup decisions that people are facing for $1 million grand prize. We'll also get into DeAndre Swift, Tyler Lauren, Jalen Hurts, and so much more. Leading things off tonight, Ferrell. Let's crank it up with one Harold Fannin. And this is very interesting. So he is listed as questionable for the Steelers game this weekend after he was added to the injury report on Friday. It is a soft tissue injury that caused him to be added to the injury report. Fannin is, here's the thing. It's a not even a midweek. It's an end of week injury ad. I think he is on the wrong side of questionable right now, Ferrell. I would be looking at it from the standpoint, if you do have Harold Fannin, you were counting on him this week, you have to make other lineup changes. You have to make other lineup plans.
Oh, that hurts.
If you are playing in the KFFSC or the FFPC in those leagues that still have waivers open on Saturday night / Sunday morning, make sure you're picking up anybody at tight end, just so you don't have to be afforded to take that 0. I am very, very bearish on Harold Fannin playing this week, Ferrell. Am I Chicken Little? Is the sky falling on me right now? Or do you agree with me that we're not going to see Harold Fannin in week 17?
Well, I can't go either way, Balky. And you don't live in fear. So there must be some insider, because you are in the cradle of football, Balky. You're there in Green Bay and you're doing your thing, and you're talking to all these other fantasy guys during the week, which sharpens your skills for this show. That's the whole purpose for those other shows you keep talking about. But yeah, Fannin. Now, is Shedeur Sanders going to start the game for Cleveland?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, so when Shedeur starts, Fannin's 15 points plus. It's in the KFFSC, unless you're in an ancillary league, you have no waivers. Main Event, FFPC, you have no waivers. Right. There's nothing that can be done. So, just say a prayer for soft tissue. If you can do some waivers, go get and you believe in injuries, Kittle's hurt, go get Tongas.
Yeah.
Get Tongas.
We'll get to Kittle in a little bit too, but I think it's interesting that you bring him up, because this is a bad situation for tight ends in general in week 17 in high stakes fantasy.
Yeah, Bowers is just done.
Yeah, Bowers is done. He's on IR. For what it's worth, Harold Fannin did say, and again, I take injury reports from the player himself with a grain of salt, but Fannin did say he plans on playing against the Steelers this week. So
Harold's playing for Cleveland with the school in Bowling Green, is from Ohio, the same state as the great John Anderson. He'll be playing if he says he's going to play. Those guys don't say things. You know what my favorite college team is in Ohio?
Go ahead.
John Carroll University. Just want to throw that out.
Is that D3?
Division 3.
All right.
They're going to put a guy in the league this year. That's all I'm saying.
Are they still playing right now or no?
No, they lost last week.
Oh, they did. Okay. I'm looking it up because the conference that my alma mater played in featured 4 teams in the Division III college football playoff this year. My alma mater was not one of them.
I forget that you went to college. Did Barber College, your barber school you went to, had a football team?
The
You went to Barber College.
You are great, Ferrell. No, my
Clown College. Which one?
My University of Wisconsin Oshkosh Titans.
Oh, they can play some football.
College football.
They can play some football.
I can tell you this, Ferrell. The one team that is still left from the WIAC, the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, is the UW River Falls Falcons, who beat Johns Hopkins in the semis, and they will face North Central, the power.
North Central out of is that out of Illinois? Yeah,
and
that's the team. That's a real team.
They're the ones who took out John Carroll in the.
Where are they playing that championship in Canton, Ohio, in the Hall of Fame Stadium? We should go. Let's just drop everything.
I will say this. That used to be the Stag Bowl, and I thought that was in West Virginia. I don't know if they still play it there or not.
Not anymore.
I can tell you that North Central and UW River Falls are squaring off in the Division III college football championship on January 4th. Very exciting.
You know what they get when they win that game?
I have no idea. Pop-Tarts?
One of these trophies.
Oh, there it is. No, it's not. Listen, they don't get a trophy that looks
bigger trophy in there.
They don't get a trophy that looks that good.
That's KFFSC trophy.
That is KFFSC. Okay. You tease this with George Kittle. Let's bring it up right now. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, said that George Kittle will be a game time decision. And why is this interesting? Because game time for the Niners will be on Sunday Night Football, which is very, very frustrating for all of us. He did not practice this week. He told Kyle Shanahan, according to Nick Wagner, who covers the 49ers for ESPN.com, Kyle Shanahan said that Kittle told him he should have a better answer by tomorrow regarding his availability for Week 17. Kittle has played through injury before, but it's clearly less than 100% here, Ferrell. I said the sky was falling with one Harold Fannin. If the sky is falling with Harold Fannin, it is just crushing on you with George Kittle right now. I have no confidence in this guy playing on Sunday at all. And the fact that he's playing Sunday night, to me, it's a slam dunk. Don't take the 0. Get somebody else in there on Saturday afternoon or evening with the Packers, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Texans. Get somebody in there before this thing blows up in your face on Sunday night. I don't think he's going to go, Ferrell. What do you think as far as Kittle goes in championship weekend?
I think I'm glad you went to school in Wisconsin and it was not medical school, because you would walk around with your chart and say, I see no hope. There's no hope here for you, patient. Again, here, this is quarterback related. Purdy is on fire. Purdy has been tremendous. And for the first time, the Niners are healthy with the exception of Kittle. Mm-hmm. And I think what here could cause hesitation, what does the 49ers have to play for? They're likely not to win the division, which is another ticket I can tear up. But they've already earned their playoff spot, they're going to be in the playoffs. So there's not really a whole lot of things that could happen. And they have the opportunity to let Kittle be on a snap count or not play at all and play a very good tight end who played well earlier in the season. So that their situation for Kittle not to play is seems to me to be more convenient than fans.
I will say, for what it's worth, there is a chance that the Niners still could get the 1 seed in the NFC. Not a great opportunity, mind you, but there is a chance when it comes to that. So maybe they want to deploy him on Sunday Night Football against the Bears, who could be a potential NFC championship.
Yeah, that's a great game
matchup. It could be a potential NFC playoff matchup at a minimum. So I don't know. I think that the Niners do want to play him. It's a question of if he is going to be available. And I don't want to mess around with that.
Yeah, and Tom Smith makes a good point. And Alex jumps in here. and he says Dr. Balky has a nice ring to it. You know, he should meet your good friend, Dr. Erickson. Alex would
That
really
guy has a medical degree. I do not.
That guy has all kinds of degrees.
Yeah. Tom Smith chiming in. The Niners play the Seattle Seahawks in Week 18, so there is still a little hope of winning the division. You are right.
Yeah, Tom's right about that.
Yeah.
So, Tom, I won't tear up the ticket.
Yeah, never tear up the ticket. I don't like that. I just, even when I know it's a loser, I never tear it up. Ferrell, speaking of, let's get into the minutia here.
You don't ever tear them up?
No, I never.
Where do you store them all, for God's sake?
Hold on. I'm gonna do this right now. I'll show you this right here.
I would have to rent a storage center.
Hold on. No, this is just from the past year. Okay, I'm gonna show you this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I got a stack of them right here.
Oh wow!
These are all losers. These are all losers over the course. This is about a year and a half, not a year, about a year and a half right here. And I never tear them up. Okay, I keep them right here. Whether this is probably bad hoodoo to not tear
memory lane. You go down memory lane. Yeah,
I know. I don't go through them. I just hold them. I hold them. All right. Now here we go. Josh Allen, Ferrell, is apparently going to play on Sunday against the Eagles. This according to Chris Brown, who covers the Bills. Sean McDermott stating today that Josh Allen's going to go. He has a sore foot, and apparently the soreness in Josh Allen's foot has dissipated throughout the week.
Okay.
Allen had this injury happen to him this past week against the Browns, and maybe it's none too serious. I get it. And he didn't miss any action after he hurt the foot in Week 16 as well. However, if you look at the Bills' offense, they have not been able to move the ball well through the air, whether that's on Josh Allen or the receivers. That's a matter of personal perspective here. I get it. And Sean McDermott doesn't expect that the foot injury is going to slow Allen down. This could be me reaching here, but with everything on the line and knowing that this is not an easy matchup for Josh Allen, Ferrell, do you envision a scenario where it's possible that Josh Allen is not the best quarterback choice for your fantasy team in Week 17?
I can agree with that. I would play Purdy over. We've already talked.
Okay, so you can see the scenario. You would play Purdy over Josh Allen this week.
Yep.
Okay, let me throw another one at you here. Josh Allen against the Eagles or Drake May at the Jets?
Ooh. It's hard to figure out. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Josh Allen.
I would play May.
Yeah, and people that are in on Josh Allen are real believers, and they spent significant draft capital for him, and they probably don't have a Drake May, but they might. But yeah, I could make a case for Drake May there. You want to throw up? Let's go down to Miami and do a Josh Allen and Quinn Evers.
We're not doing that because
we can let Josh win one, and then
All right, let me do a real one here.
Quinn threw for 260 yards last week.
He was very
a real
good.
One.
He was very good.
What'd that guy from Minnesota throw for?
Max Brosmer?
Yeah.
51 yards.
Yeah, okay.
But his team had a total of 3 passing yards, and they beat the Lions by 2 touchdowns. So take that for what it's worth. Last one I'll bring up. Josh Allen, Ferrell. Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence at Indy?
Trevor Lawrence playing inside based on the way he's played lately and the team coming together. Wow. Maybe Jacksonville's quarterback, Trevor Lawrence.
I'm going to go with Allen in that case. But I think
you should.
What Lawrence did last week in Denver was pretty impressive. And so if anybody wants to say like, no, I'm going to ride the hot hand, I'm going to play Lawrence at Indy this week over Josh Allen. I fully get that. I get it.
And that's one I think you could have. Trevor Lawrence was like a 15-rounder.
You could have Josh Allen and Drake May. It's possible. Now, I don't think you'd have Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, Ferrell. But I think Burrow over Allen.
Some guy would. He's not playing for anything, though.
Right. That's true. I would also, just for what it's worth, you said Purdy over Allen. Yeah. I'm going to say Josh Allen over Jacoby Brissett against the Cincinnati Bengals this week. Would you be playing Allen over Brissett?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Last thing I want to get to here, and before we get into our guest, Craig Lewandowski here, Josh Jacobs no longer on the injury report for the Green Bay Packers. He will be playing tomorrow night at Lambeau Field against the Baltimore Ravens. But you know who will not be playing in this game is Jordan Love, who was ruled out by the Packers.
Wow.
And it will be Malik Willis versus, I'm assuming, Tyler Huntley. I have not seen the Ravens rule out Lamar Jackson yet, but they did list him as doubtful yesterday. So this game, and Ferrell will bring in the injury status of Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson into this. This is a very, very interesting game for fantasy purposes because we do have guys like Zay Flowers, like Christian Watson, like Josh Jacobs. You bring in Tyler Huntley and the Malik Willis aspect here. The total on this game, I believe, has dropped to 39.5. I'm going to look that up right now because I did see the Packers move from a 2.5-point favorite to a 4.5-point favorite. And then with the Love news here today, they have now dropped to a 3-point favorite. The total has dropped to 38.5. Are you breaking ties in your lineup this week against players like Flowers, like Christian Watson, like Josh Jacobs? I wonder how many significant fantasy players there are going to be in this game with two, again, what we think is going to be two backup quarterbacks manning these offenses Saturday night in Green Bay.
So what are you asking me?
I'm asking you, sorry, this is a long-winded question. I'm asking you about these Packers skill position players and these Ravens skill position players with the backup quarterbacks in tow. Listen, obviously you're playing Derrick Henry, but the pass catchers in Baltimore, the pass catchers in Green Bay, and quite frankly, the running back in Green Bay, I think you have to play Josh Jacobs. But I don't want to be presumptuous here. I want to know what you think about these other skill position guys.
The Packers are going to be playing their third-team quarterback.
Who
their second-team quarterback? Which one?
The Ravens are probably going to be playing Huntley. The Packers are for sure starting Malik Willis, who is their backup.
Oh, Malik's going to play. Okay.
Yes.
Malik played pretty well, didn't he?
Yes, he's been all right.
He had some moments. I think it's vexing enough to figure out what Packers receiver to play when they have Love. So now it's a very, very difficult question to figure out what they would do with the backup quarterback, which makes, if you believe in those Packers receivers and you have unlocked the magical theory on how to play them, you should probably keep doing it.
Right.
When we go over to Baltimore, this is much more problematic. You've seen what some of the backup quarterbacks have done. They're over this past weekend or past week. And, about the time I gave up on Zay Flowers is when he's put together 3 really, really good games. But yes, I'm going to try to remove myself from as much of the Ravens passing game as I can. And look, anybody that wants to say anything about that can go back and listen to the shows from June. You must have a lot of spare time on your hands. but I don't think either of us were big Flowers guys, and we had to set through the pros versus Joes, talking about how Flowers was going to have, and he has had a better season. But my point is, to answer your question in a long-winded answer to a properly asked question, I'm going to try to play someone different.
I am with you. I don't think your secret to fantasy success in championship week lies in Green Bay. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens on that, but I don't foresee this being one of those games where, like, oh my God, if only I would have started all my Packers and Ravens. I don't think that's.
It's another situation. If Jacobs gets a little banged up, you've got a meaningful second-team running back there.
Yeah.
He's played very well, and has a great Christmas song, a historical Christmas song, which features.
Yes. Oh, come, Emmanuel Wilson. And I will say this about Wilson. I don't think you can start him now that we know Jacobs is going to be active for this game, but there is a non-zero chance. And if you want to get, to borrow a line from Michael Keaton and Batman, if you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. And you got to make up 100-some spots in the FFPC Big Gorilla or the main event. You want to play Emmanuel Wilson? I think there are certainly worse ways to do it.
Who do you play when you got to make up 800 spots?
You play Emmanuel Wilson. I mean, that's a guy that you put in there.
I see what you're saying.
So
the counterintuitive situation.
Yes. Yeah, it could very well be counterintuitive. I want to get into Mr. Expo's 52 question here before we get into tonight's guest. And
well, we got a guest that knows more about this than we do.
Yes, and we have to get to him. He wants to know, Mr. Expo's 52, what's your thoughts on Dalton Schultz? If I were to get Tonjes, would you go him with Kittle maybe out? Now, here's the situation. If you have Dalton Schultz on your team and you're weighing that against George Kittle, Ferrell, the schedule is Schultz playing tomorrow afternoon, 4:30 Eastern time. And I don't know about Kittle, and I know he's a game time decision, and I was already pretty bearish on him. I would play Schultz over Kittle, even if I had Tonjes. I would not wait on Tonjes. I would play Schultz tomorrow afternoon, even though it's a low total game. I feel like I don't want to mess around with this too much. I would play Schultz over Kittle tomorrow. What say you on this situation for Mr. Expo's 52?
No, I would too. And, in the last 2 weeks of the show, we have championed Schultz as the biggest surprise. He's had the quietest successful year of any tight end in the league. You go look up his numbers, Balk. If you want to shout out how many catches, I think we're now flirting with 80. And, that's more than Kelsey and more than Warren and more than a lot of guys who've done very well, I think.
Dalton Schultz has 75 catches on the season. 75 for a shade under 700 yards. He's gotten in the end zone 3 times.
And the touchdowns have come recently.
Yes, they have. Yeah. He has gotten 3 touchdowns on the season. 2 of them have come within the last 2 weeks as well. Trone Force 8199. Who should I play at flex? This is full PPR. Kenneth Gainwell, Jalen Warren, or Devontae Smith. This is a tough one, and Trone Force is a real one here because this is not an easy situation to make in week 17. Jalen Warren is obviously at Cleveland this week. Kenneth Gainwell, guess what? He's also at Cleveland this week. We'll get into more of those Steelers running backs here in just a little bit with Craig Lewandowski. And then Devonta Smith is at Buffalo. Farrell, if you could only play one of those players, Gainwell, Warren, or Devonta Smith, who would it be for you this week? I'll weigh in after you weigh in.
And Philly's got the Bills.
Which
could develop into a shootout, so you're going to play Smith.
The potential shootout in that game stands right now. Eagles-Bills, 43.5.
I think that, there you go. Make another bet, folks.
It's a low total. We got to take the over in that game for sure. I am actually, with all due respect to what Ferrell said, I'm going to roll with one Jalen Warren here. The passing options in Pittsburgh are non-existent. If the Steelers are going to beat the Browns, it's going to be with the ground game. And I do believe Warren will be the linchpin for that. So
he would be my third choice among this trial.
Wow. And Smith would be my third choice. This is insane.
And Gainwell would be my second. Because, and we'll get to that later, maybe with our guest, but we can talk more about that. But Trone Force, I'm glad we helped you so much.
Yeah, we did. Ray C has a question: Loveland or Ty Warren? Ray, I'm going to make you wait for this.
Come on.
We got to get to our guest, but I promise you we will answer that question. And then James Hicks, Michael Mayer, or Brenton Strange at tight end. We will get into that as well. I promise. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in our guest tonight. He's been extraordinarily patient. All the shrimp, all the crudité is gone in the green room because we have kept him waiting there way too long. He is embarking on a big week this week where he has a chance to win $1 million in the FFPC main event. And quite frankly, another $1 million with a team that he has fairly high up in the leaderboard there in the FFPC Big Gorilla. Please welcome into the program. You follow him on the X at Craig Lewandowski #4. He is Craig Lewandowski. Craig, thank you so much for hopping on the show tonight. We really appreciate you making some time. And sorry it was so long. What's up, man?
I couldn't find that shrimp.
The intern must have eaten it all again. We've had problems.
Those Madagascar shrimp, when we get them, they go quick. Sometimes they don't get into the green room.
Great to be with you guys. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for accepting the invite. It's great to have you on board tonight. And certainly a unique situation that you're in tonight. We'll get into what you think your prospects are here going for one final week in the FFPC. Before we get into that, can you tell us what you're doing for a living when you're not hanging out near the top of the FFPC Main Event and Big Gorilla Championship Round leaderboard, sir?
Sure. Yeah, I work for an events production company in Dallas, and I'm an IT sourcing manager. So essentially, I work with the IT department, and I negotiate software licensing contracts and other IT vendor contracts on behalf of the organization.
That sounds like a pretty good daytime job, Balky.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
That's impressive. A guy that does that for a living ought to be able to really break this question down to us, Craig. And I really want to know why. We've got a lot of tough questions about lineup situations, and you're welcome to jump on any of those that are in the message room. But what's your toughest decision in week 17? Because you're sitting at the top, you've got a chance. It's impressive. You've got 600 full minutes of players still left, as I understand. So what's up? What's your toughest thing that's going to keep you awake all weekend?
It was kind of a blessing and a curse, but the Raiders made that decision for me because I have drop hours.
Oh, yeah.
And once they put them on IR, then my options were somewhat limited. So I've got Gainwell, Warren. I had Debo. Didn't want to start Debo with a third-string quarterback because his usage has been very low recently. Theo Johnson, who I do have Dart, and maybe there could be some correlation there if I wanted to make a big move, but he put up a 0 last week.
Yep.
Can't start him with any confidence. And then I have Chris Godwin.
Oh,
my pivot options weren't very enticing. So
they sounded good in October, though.
Right.
I like that. That's a pre-Halloween lineup you can get right behind, Balky.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, did you have before Bowers got IR'd? Did you? I mean, who? Like, I guess I want to know who you ascended to your starting lineup with Bowers being on IR.
So I had been rolling with Dart, Cook, ETN, Nakua, Ted McMillan, Bowers, Pitts, and then I had been rolling with Gainwell since he had been getting a lot of the passing work.
Yeah, but what tight end? Isn't that what you're asking about?
Well, no, not necessarily, because you have a lot of, I mean, you mentioned Pitts, so Pitts could clearly take your tight end spot. You obviously had Theo Johnson as well. Is there a guy that you, once you saw the Bowers IR, like, okay, I'm playing this guy now?
Yeah, it was making the decision to go with Jalen Warren and Gainwell, just because I think he's maybe the ceiling isn't as great, but I think he's the safest option if I'm trying to move up. And this way I can get all of the Pittsburgh backfield points.
Okay.
I think we were going to talk about that a little later on. But let's go ahead and talk about it right now.
Yeah. Well, do you want to? We can.
Yeah, I think let's go ahead and talk about that right now, because we've got plenty of Tyler Warren questions in here. You know, when Balky and I get together in the summer and talk to all the experts, and we sometimes hear the phrase, the backfield is going to be 50-50. And, you never think it is. Right. And then you look at your Gainwell and your Warren, and it's 440 snaps for Warren and 422 for Gainwell. It's about as close as it can get. So are you tempted to start them both? Because Balky's already told you Pittsburgh has no passing attack. And I think that's a little bit because he's kind of against Aaron Rodgers, who you'll remember used to play in Green Bay, where Balky is shaking his head.
No.
Maybe that's Leroy Corson. I'm getting Balky confused.
Yes, that would be accurate. Yes.
Do you know the real Leroy, Craig?
I do not.
Oh, you should meet Leroy and talk Aaron Rodgers with him. That would be the most entertaining football conversation you ever had. But anyway, what are you going to do with these running backs? You got two of them. Which one's going to hit, or are you going to go with both of them?
I'm hoping they both hit because I'm starting both of them.
Yeah, there we go. Now that's big news, Balky.
So now,
what I will say on the Bowers thing, that was actually a bad break for me because he was the only player that no one above me owned.
Oh,
so and I know he put up 50 points earlier this season, so a generational game from him against a softer defense, potentially could have moved way up.
God, that sucks.
That was a gut punch.
I will say in your defense, not in your defense, but to speak well of your team, I don't know how many teams above you right now. And Craig, I guessed, were you 15th coming into this week, or were you?
I was 17th. So
17th.
I started the chase at 80. I think I was 803 out of 870 or however many teams are in it.
Right.
And then I scored 209 the first week and moved up in the top 100, and then put up a 191 last week and moved up to 17. I'm 49th now. I had no players going yesterday.
Right.
So
yeah. So
that was difficult watching, all of the teams leapfrog you and hoping none of those games explode.
Yeah, but when you look at them, they didn't score much.
Yeah. No.
well,
sure.
so there's that, and then it's also like the scene in the movie, like where the hero is bleeding out, and you're like, I know I'm going to get a bandage. I know I'm going to get medical attention. It's just a question of how fast I can get medical attention. So now I just got to wait, and I got to see what everybody else does while I'm sitting here doing nothing. But once you get bandaged up, which you are now, I mean, you are one of the few players in the top 50 that have had 0 players go so far this week, Craig, which I think is definitely a feather in your cap. So I should bring this up right now. And there were certain people that were fortunate enough to have Kyle Pitts going in the championship round in week 15. There were other people that were fortunate enough to have Puka Nacua going in week 16. Both of these players absolutely blew up on Thursday Night Football. You, my friend, had a front row seat for watching Pitts and Nacua on back-to-back weeks because you had both of these guys on your team. It's a big reason why you've moved up. And I have to ask you, when you're watching that Pitts game in week 15, when you're watching the Nacua game in week 16, what's going through your head as far as how realistic this $1 million now becomes, knowing how far down you started off the championship round?
Right.
And all of a sudden, dude, you were in the thick of it after 2 individual performances.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting to watch, especially because I'm a Kyle Pitts truther. I went to UF, so I got to watch him throughout his collegiate years, and I thought he was going to be one of the best tight ends ever to play. And then it's been nothing but disappointment throughout his career. Yet I draft him every single year, and my friends make it's kind of a running joke. They make fun of me for it.
Well, it's an asset you believe in, and you paid less for it every year. I think you're teaching those young men a mighty fine lesson. I think it's brilliant.
He was a tremendous value this year. But yeah, watching that game where he scored 3 touchdowns and Cousins was just throwing to him every play. And then Nacua last week where the game went into overtime. And then, that was just unreal.
And I love talking about the future, Craig, although I do not have a crystal ball, but I bet you something. I bet you he'll be a bargain next year, too.
Which one, Nacua?
Who's that?
No, Nakua's going to first player in the draft.
Pitts.
Pitts.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
he's a free agent now, so I think it's going to depend on his landing spot.
Right.
Oh, he's not getting out of the state of Georgia.
You don't think the Falcons let him go?
No.
They're going to franchise him?
I hope
There's
they do.
tools there to play.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with Kyle Pitts next year. I want to ask you about Jackson Dart. And this is so I'm going to ask you about your quarterback situation in this league. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig. 3 quarterbacks, Dart, Winston, Tyrod Taylor. Is that what you have?
Unfortunately, yes. I had some piss poor roster management on my part, for lack of a better description. I actually drafted Jordan Love and JJ McCarthy.
Oh,
I cut at various times. They were hurt or not performing. And Dart had him. I picked up Dart, and he had emerged. And then I just got Winston as an insurance policy and said, I'll just roll with these guys. And then in week 14, the league championship, Giants had a bye. I had to pick up Tyrod Taylor because he was available. Came off a couple of good weeks, and he gave me a -1 because he got hurt in the first quarter. But I somehow still managed to win the championship week. And that got me into the chase because I was a 3 seed. So,
oh my God, it's kismet.
So
that poor guy you beat has to look at that -1.
I'm sure.
Well,
now I only have Dart, and I have no other options.
Well, and listen, like you look at Dart, and the reason I ask you about him this week is because Jackson Dart, we've seen what he's capable of throughout the season. And he gets a great matchup against the Raiders defense without Max Crosby this week, as we found out a few hours ago that he will not be playing the rest of the season for Las Vegas. And I'm curious as to what you think Jackson Dart is going to give FFPC players like you, because we know that I don't know if there's been a public mandate that they told Dart not to run as much as he had been, but a big reason that he carried teams was because of his legs. And if he is not doing that this week, or if he is not doing it to the critical aplomb that he did earlier this season, I think we have to wonder, how much are we going to get from Dart? Craig, what are you expecting fantasy points wise for Jackson Dart in Sin City playing against those Raiders this week?
I have low expectations, even though it's a softer matchup. I'm hoping for 15 points minimum. I just don't want him to face plant again like last week, 1 point. But it looks like Kafka or whomever definitely put the reins on him. I was watching the game because I'm trying to climb the leaderboard, and I think they ran the ball 16 times out of the first 17 snaps, and it's just like frustrating. So are you even going to let him play?
We don't
You
know.
going to play Wandale this weekend if you got him anywhere?
I would, but it depends on it depends on what my other options are.
You know, we got so many Kentucky guys in the thing. I just wanted to throw in a Kentucky.
I think Ferrell, for me personally, if I have Robinson, most of my leagues I'm playing him. I mean, when it comes down to it, you really got to have a loaded wide receiver roster not to play him. Juwan Jennings, I think, would make some sense over him this week. I think Tedero McMillan, Jacoby Myers, I think you could play over Wandale Robinson. But I think by and large, it's tough to find 2 or 3 receivers on your roster that are better than Wandale Robinson that you would, want to play this week. So in my leagues, I'm playing him for sure.
What's the barefooted receiver up at New England?
Mac.
Let's put Mac out there in front of him.
We can't do that because the Patriots ruled him out, so he will not be playing this. I know it's so
probably some foot disease he's got.
A problem, more than likely it is, Ferrell. I think that you are definitely on point on that. Mac Hollins, the grizzled veteran wide receiver in New England, but we have to talk about the young up and coming tight end in Los Angeles here, Ferrell, with Craig.
Yeah, we do. I was trying to think, the young and up and coming tight end in Los Angeles, and I was just having flashbacks to warmer weather in the summer when Balky, you were all over that Rams tight end. And it, so Gadsden with the Chargers. Now, I love this player. I see him very much as Bowers-esque as far as the way he moves. Yeah. He's just, and he's got the same physique that his father did. I admired his father as a player. His season has truly been a bell curve. I haven't watched the games as closely with the Chargers as I would like to. What has led to his high points and low points, and what do you expect of him this weekend? All the skill sets there. Is there just too many other receivers in this mix?
I think it's a combination of a few things. He definitely has talent. He's more receiver than tight end.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, and I don't know if it's due to injuries on the offensive line, but the Chargers offense has evolved. If you look early in the season, first half, I think Herbert was averaging 38, 39 pass attempts. The second half of the season, he's averaging 26.
Yeah.
And then he's spreading it around to, McConkey, Allen, Quentin Johnston, the running backs, Harris, the rookie. And,
McConkey has hit the wall with fantasy production as well.
Yeah. So they've kind of become a super spreader offense, and it's a low volume passing attack, which isn't a great combination. If I have Gadsden, there's no way I'm starting him this weekend unless I have.
I got to roll. Knowing what we know now, I know what the answer is, but I had a tough decision this week. It was Goff or Herbert. I chose Goff. Which would you have done?
I would have chose Goff as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right, this I'm going to sound like an a-hole here, but I would have chosen Herbert.
Well, why in the hell didn't you call me, Bob?
Well, I should have. Clearly, I should have.
I should have called you.
I let you know.
I thought about it. Yeah.
But
I thought long and thought wrong, Balky.
Well, I will say this about Goff. I would have played Herbert over him. I could not have envisioned a game that the Lions put out against Minnesota. I never would have saw that. I didn't see it coming.
And Craig mentioned the 40-something point Bowers game this year. You know, golf had one of those too, or something damn near close. And you can't get that out of Herbert.
By the way, I'll just say this, and I think this is I don't know his YouTube name, but I believe this is Jared Eisenlohr who is watching us tonight, saying Balky always a Lions hater. I am not.
That's right, Jared.
I am not always a Lions. I will say this. I'll say this about the Lions. I was rooting for him. I wanted him to win yesterday against Minnesota to give the Lions a fighting chance of playing for something in Week 18 against Chicago, because I'm still fingers crossed with the Packers winning the NFC North. Now that is, I don't know, it's probably going by the wayside. But
you want to hold that stack up again?
Bulky, Jared's actually a friend of mine, and he's one of the.
Wait, hold on, Craig, you're friends with Jared? I didn't know this.
I am.
Oh my God! What a
Craig is friends with everybody.
We both worked for the same company and lived in the Fort Myers area for a while.
Okay.
Now there's a group of us that go out to Vegas for the live events every year.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I've run into you guys.
And you know, now that you're saying this, Craig, I think Jared might have told me this before. Which I feel like an idiot now, but it is what it is. Me feeling like an idiot is sort of par for the course.
No way, Balky. You're the smartest guy we know.
Smartest guy I know, and I don't know that many people. I want to ask about Teteroa McMillan here, Craig, because if we look at what he's done now. Last week he was unbelievable, right? 10 targets, he catches 6 of them, 73 yards, gets in the end zone. If you look at the 3 games prior to this, 2 for 25, 1 for 43, 2 for 25. If knowing that everything's amplified with this being championship week and everything like that, when you consider Teteroa McMillan against that Seattle Seahawks defense, which granted got lit up by Puka Nacua and the Rams last week,
right?
How much of a concern is the targets, is the volume, is the usage this week for Teteroa McMillan? Great in week 16, but 3 weeks before that, obviously much less than great.
You don't have to remind me because I started him all 3 of those weeks. And I think he totaled 5 catches. Not a lot of confidence he's going to get high volume. Again, I don't have great alternative options. And like Bowers, I think McMillan, there's only 1 or 2 teams that have him ahead of me. So it's a good leverage play. I'm hoping that Young isn't running for his life and just peppers him with targets like he did last week. I did make a mistake in, I can't remember, it was like week 10 or 11 when McMillan blew up for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I had
week 11.
I had benched him that week in favor of Pitts, and it cost me finishing in the top 2 in the league because I left. So now I'll never bench him. I won't bench him again. I learned my lesson.
Okay, all right. Here's something about benching and when to play a player. I handled the New England Patriots, I think, the best way I could this year. I have Stephon Diggs on a dynasty team that I inherited, but all I did was draft Drake May and run for daylight. I stayed away from the rest of it. Yeah, I considered it too difficult, and here we are at the end of the season, and we're still trying to figure out, because you watch Henderson play and you go, man, I wouldn't mind having that player. That's a really good player. Is he going to play this week or what?
It sounds like he might. I think he shed the.
So how do you handle that backfield if he does?
Oh, I'm 100. If I own him and I do on my Gorilla, I'm 100% playing him. You have to, just because of the home run potential. And
yes,
Hollins and Booty are out. Maybe that doesn't mean more targets for the running backs, but if Henderson plays, he could get a couple more targets. So I would absolutely play him.
I did not know Hollins was out. I knew Booty was out, but I thought the other receiver that was having problems was Douglas, and I guess he never has any.
No, he's having problems too, Ferrell. It's a cavalcade of problems.
Yeah, well, his cavalcade of problems is 2 catches a game, but that's a whole other thing.
No, we know that Demario Douglas is questionable with a hamstring issue this game.
Okay, that's the 2. I thought it was Douglas and Boutte. And that Tom Smith is always on top of everything. That's because he's out there in California. He gets the late news.
Yeah. He so we're looking at a questionable Henderson, which we just talked about, a Mac Hollins who is out, Demario Douglas who's questionable, and Kayshon Boutte who is out this week too. So could be wheels up for Henderson. I think the thing that's frustrating. And I don't know how many Ramondre Stevenson owners, and you can weigh in on this, Craig, but if you have Stevenson, I feel like if Henderson's active for this game, you can't really play Stevenson, can you? Even though it's against the Jets.
Right. Yeah, it's a favorable matchup. I have to say, the teams ahead of me, they're just looking at lineups that people have. Like, I didn't see any Stevenson, so I don't know. People might have them on their rosters and just aren't playing them. But he might be a tough button to click if you know Henderson is going. If you're trying to make a move up the leaderboard.
And I want to congratulate you, the kind of guy you are, and the way that you approach this. Balky said you're A1 plus guy, as our president was.
All right.
So, you know, but, you know, it seems like you've been replete with injuries, especially on a team here that's right in the middle of the hunt. And then there's no whining. You know, you're going to go find your next logical move, which is very, very impressive. Maybe that relates to your career that you've chosen. You're a logical guy. I've talked to some fantasy players this week, guys that I love, guys that are good fantasy players. You know, one wants to quit because players are injured. I try to tell him, you don't think general managers in the NFL are upset because players are injured? You know, you say you want to play fantasy football. You want to have that experience. You know, that's what it's about. And another guy told me, I said, well, you know, it's going to go better for you next year. And he told me he's not playing next year. I said, how are you going to spend your Sundays? He said he was joining a Frisbee golf league. You know, so that's and I love these guys. And both of them are full of it because we'll see them in August and September, you know. And we need to see that Fort Myers bunch. You can get a nonstop flight out of there to Kentucky. You need to come up here and play. We'll talk more about that later. But I can tell you one thing. You know, you'll be a winner in any room you are with the way you approach the game.
You know, Craig, I'll throw this to you, and I'll share a personal insight. I don't know how many years ago this was, but I made the play. I probably played in like 24 leagues that year. I don't know how many years ago this was, but it was several. I played in like 24 plus leagues. I made the playoffs in like 3 of them, which was super frustrating. And I didn't win a playoff game. And I was like, and I told my friends that I played fantasy with, I'm like, I'm done. I can't, this is awful. I'm investing way too much time into this. It's not worth it anymore. And that feeling came in like mid-January, late December. And I think by May I was drafting pretty heavily. And the following year, I was like 5 or 6 leagues out of like 25 or 30. You know, so it like comes and goes or whatever. I'm sure you've had years where it's been super dry for you, and then you get a year like this where it's like, oh my God, now, and we haven't even talked about your Big Gorilla team yet. We can talk about that as well. But now you have a team in the main event and in the Big Gorilla that are definitely within striking distance of winning perhaps a 7-figure grand prize. It's always important to trust your process, keep the faith, because you never know when these magical years are going to come along, man.
Up until a month ago, I thought this was going to be a very dry year for me. I did 2 main event teams, and this one hadn't popped yet, so it was kind of middling. Right. And then I did 7 gorillas, 4 of which were just drawing dead from the onset because I had Joe Mixon or some other quarterback, and they were mainly early drafts. And then I had 1 gorilla, the one that's in the chase, that was undefeated in the regular season. So that was the one thing I was going to be able to hang my hat on. But you know, the year kind of turned around. But you're right, you just got to stick with the process. I have told myself that I would like to cut back next year, not do so many teams just because it's difficult to manage, and draft later. I know you guys open up the draft super early, and everyone, it's kind of like, you know, crack. You want to get your little taste, and everyone wants to draft. But the 2 teams that are doing the best for me are the ones that I drafted, you know, the latest. And
to each their own. I mean, right. And listen, there's some people that like I know Chad Schroeder. He's a notorious late drafter, right? Now, when he drafts late, I mean, he goes hard, way harder than anybody I know as far as how many drafts he does. But I know a lot of people that draft early that love the values that they get on players early. So it's hit or miss. Some people love it. Some people have a lot of great success with it. Some people like doing the opposite, and I'm not going to fault anybody. You do how you do it.
That's the beauty of the hobby, because it's in a lot of ways, it's like your friends that play golf. I've got a guy that can play it once every 2 weeks and shoot in the mid-70s. And I know other guys that play 54 holes in one day on a weekend, and they really can't do anything but get a bogey. So it's however you want to approach it. Now here in Kentucky, we have our Super Sunday Sweet 16 on Super Bowl weekend, and so we're going to get back on the horse right away. If you just come on up, and it is a blast. And so drafting is just it's a personal thing. It's as much as you want to do, but I think you're good at it, and working the waivers can be difficult.
Yeah.
When you get in a role with the waivers and you have enough teams, you can begin to see between the lines. Balky, have you ever experienced that? You're there and you already know what's coming, and you see it and you move through it real quick. That's the way I like to get with waivers.
Well, I'll say this too. When I draft early, sometimes, when that first waiver wire period rolls around in September, there are certain players that everybody missed on in those early drafts. And then you spend, $400, $500, $600, $700 to get those players on your team. And now all of a sudden you got a juggernaut, and it's less team management because you only got $300 the rest of the season. Right. So it varies. Like there's a million different ways to skin a cat in the FFPC and KFFSC. By the way,
I need to reevaluate my early drafting process because it could be broken.
Listen, I don't think your process is broken. I don't think anybody's process is broken. I think if it's not working, it just needs to be tweaked. There's a difference between broken and tweaked. And I'll say this too, to your credit, Jared is chiming in. Craig is one of the most skilled players out there. The only surprise is that this is the first time he's been this close. You will see him again. Is that true, Craig?
I like that.
Is this the closest you've ever been to the mountaintop here?
Yeah, I think the highest I finished before was Jalen Waddle's rookie year. I think I finished like 125 or something.
Oh, okay. All right. That's really good, actually.
So I don't think anybody's process is broken except the guys that came into the summer and said Evan Ingram was going to be a top 5 tight end. That process is broken.
I don't know who said that.
We had those guys on the show. Oh, you got Evan Ingram's going to have a big year.
Well, this was the whole Joker argument with Sean Payton. That's what it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. Ferrell, I have no emails here, and we are up against it here. Let's ask Craig the final question of tonight before we let him go enjoy his championship weekend.
You've got to come strong. Our last what did Ibuka score last week?
4, 5. I think he had a 140-yard catch.
Yeah, that's what it was. 1 catch for 40 yards. You are right, Craig.
1 catch, 40 yards?
Yep.
That's all he got.
Yep.
Our guest last week chose as our noted player a fantasy favorite who would bomb and bust. He chose Ibuka, and that was ballsy and impressive. So that's what you're going up against. Then you've got to pick a sleeper. You've got to pick a sleeper. I think Balky picked Quinn Ewers last week, I believe. But whoever, we're interested not in so much of last week, but we want you to top Ibuka, and then we want you to give us the guy that nobody's thinking about that's going to get us there.
I don't know if he's going to bust per se. I think Josh Jacobs, who I don't own, is a difficult click this week, only because he's been hurt. Yeah, he insists on playing.
Yep.
Wilson's capable. Willis is playing. I know he's good. But now the Packers have already clinched a playoff spot due to the Lions losing. So I don't know how much incentive they're going to have tomorrow, the Packers, to give Jacobs a heavy workload. So I think unless he gets a touchdown, it's hard to see him coming through.
Jacobs is your bust. You see like a 6 or 8 point game.
I could definitely see that happening. And honorable mention to Ladd McConkey.
Yes.
Just get on that train, Craig. Get on there. Jump on there.
As for a sleeper, this you got to have a very strong stomach. I'm going to go with Dalton Kincaid, who gave me a 0 last week on my Big Gorilla team. But I think the Eagles-Bills game, I think the total is way too low. I think that game is going to pop. And Allen and Cook are going to need some help. So Shakir's the short area target. I would go with Dalton Kincaid. to have actually put a decent game.
And Craig, we talked about this at the top of the pro. Ferrell was one who brought this up, saying that game could turn into a shootout, and 43.5 is not a shootout type total.
No.
So yeah, and I think you guys convinced me here tonight. I think there will be some scoring. Kincaid, for what it's worth, did not practice Wednesday, did not practice Thursday. He did get in a limited practice today, which I know is a little bit concerning, but that's sort of been his.
He did that last week.
That was his routine. It's been his routine.
He did absolutely nothing last week. He only got one target, but they were playing the Browns and running all over them. And the Browns weren't. I know they almost, they kept the game close, but I think they managed his workload a little bit.
And the other thing to keep in mind too, when you think about Dalton Kincaid, this is a guy that can just pop off out of nowhere and get like a 6 for 80 and 2 touchdown game.
If he goes 6 for 60 and a touchdown, it wouldn't shock me.
It wouldn't shock me at all. And that's well within his realm of possibility here as well. All right. I think I am. Yeah, that I am fresh out of questions here. And here's what I'm going to do, Craig. I'm going to wish you the best of luck because I do this to all our guests, but I give you extra luck this weekend because it is difficult to find a guest who wants to come on this specific weekend when they are so far high up on the main event or Big Gorilla leaderboards. There's a lot of people that don't want to jinx it. They don't want to come on the show. And you said, metaphorically speaking, to hell with that. I am coming on the show tonight. We're going to wreck it. It's going to be a lot of great fun. And you helped entertain and inform our listeners and our viewers, which I appreciate. So now I'm giving you a double dose of good luck, and hopefully the ball bounces your way. And you never know, man. If you put up a big week, either in the main event or the Big Gorilla, we may be having you on this program next week to talk about that $1 million grand prize that you have won. So kudos to you. Good luck to you. Thank you for coming on. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
See you, buddy.
Thank you. Craig Lewandowski, ladies and gentlemen, joining us tonight, 17th coming in to the main event this week, and well within striking distance, still within the top 50, Ferrell, because he had nobody play in the 3 Christmas Day games. So there's
that was his best move. And this Jay Reedy guy that's supporting Craig there, Balky.
Yeah, that's where yeah.
That's the way I talk about you when you're not around.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And by the way, I fully expected that. I think the thing is too. And when I looked at his lineup and you talked to him about this, how many teams in the top 50? He might be the only one in the top 50 right now in the main event that is starting both Steelers running backs this weekend with no DK Metcalf.
Yeah, he had something special with that Bowers situation. That hurts.
Yeah, that does hurt. But the fallback here, it's weird, but he might be starting the number 1 running back and the number 1 wide receiver for Pittsburgh, and they just both happen to play in the back.
Running backs, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I'm very intrigued to see what happens. Okay, Ferrell, let's go rapid fire on these starter sits here as we are up against it. First one is Phil in New York. He wants to know
Phil.
DeAndre Swift or Tyrone Tracy at the running back position here. Swift this week is going to be playing on Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, and then Tyrone Tracy is going to be at Las Vegas.
You leave that Tyrone Tracy alone. You play your Mr. Swift. Swift 16 points a game, 3 touchdowns over the last 4. Come on. It's no contest.
The Bears have had one of the best offensive lines in the league this year, and I think
49ers are struggling against the run.
Yeah, the Niners defense is not carrying them right now. I think that could be a potential shootout on Sunday Night Football. I am 100% with you. It is Swift over Tracy this week. Now, here's an interesting wide receiver question here as we go to Gary in Moreno Valley, California. He wants to know Chris Godwin at Miami or Marvin Harrison at Cincinnati. Now, Harrison, by the way, I think is listed as questionable for this game. He's still dealing with that heel injury, but he's been practicing. I think he's going to go, assuming they're both active, Ferrell, Godwin or Harrison.
Oh, God, I would love to know what's left on his roster because, the thing about Godwin is Mayfield. Mayfield has been so bad in the last 6 games. 6 touchdowns versus 7 interceptions. I might have those numbers transposed. 6-7, Balky.
Yeah, no, 6'7" is right. You got it right. You got it right.
Yeah, whatever it is, it equals 13, which is bad luck for all the receivers in Tampa. Now, the athletic talent, the upgrade that you can get with Harrison in this situation is just so strong that's going to be your guy. But yeah, I wish we could see the rest of his roster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he has given us the best two options that he has as far as who he's got to sit. I worry about Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan. Who's the other guy? Mecca Egbuka, obviously there. And who does Harrison have to worry about? It's just two guys with McBride and Wilson. And quite frankly, last week when he made his return, Wilson only caught like 2 or 3 passes. So I think there's something there. And at Cincinnati, give me Marvin Harrison over Chris Godwin for him this week. That is, who did I say that was? Was that Phil?
That's our cat out in California.
In California, okay, yeah, Gary in Moreno Valley. Okay, here's a fun one. Tom from Cincinnati wants to know, Ferrell, the 2 rookie tight ends. Who do you go with this year? The 2 top drafted rookie tight ends. Is it Tyler Warren against Jacksonville, or is it Colston Loveland again, Sunday Night Football at San Francisco in Santa Clara?
I love that Colston Loveland is only 21 years old.
Yeah.
That's all I love about him. Tyler Warren's the guy you're going to play. Colston Loveland hasn't had a 4-catch game since the swimming pools were still open in Vegas. I mean, come on. Let's get real. Tyler Warren could blow up in this game. It's not even a contest. Tyler Warren all the way. It's Loveland someday, you know.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He's 21 years old, man.
I'm excited. I have to have Loveland going in a few leagues this week, which I don't love.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Because of injuries or whatever, it's the best. To borrow a line from Argo, Ferrell, and I've said this on the show many times, it's the best bad idea we have. Colston Loveland to be in my starting lineup this week. So I'm rolling with him, but if it comes down to Warren or Loveland, and I don't know if we have any clarity on the Colts quarterback situation, but if it is Leonard, if it is Rivers, I do like Warren, even in a bad matchup against Jacksonville. We found out that Luther Burden is actually going to be playing for the Bears this week as well. Mm-hmm. So that is a little, monkey wrench, a fly in the ointment, to borrow a line from John McClain. With
Mo Alley Cox. Mo Alley Cox may catch more than Loveland.
It's
a backup role to Warren to borrow a line from Darren Larson.
Quarterback question is our last one that we're going to have tonight, Ferrell. And this one comes to us from, who is this? Oh, Greg. Yeah, Greg in Framingham, Massachusetts. Greg wants to know Jalen Hurts this week at Buffalo or Trevor Lawrence at Indianapolis.
Why don't you answer that one? You know why?
Why?
Guy from Massachusetts not going to listen to a Southerner, so you go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't know if he listens to a Midwesterner either.
Yeah, Balky, you're worldwide, man.
I'm not. Thank you.
You're worldwide.
As weird as this is, you asked me last week, I would have said Hurts all the way. But what Lawrence was able to do against Denver, the thing is, the acid test with Lawrence this past week was the Denver Broncos defense. Lawrence has been crushing it against all these mid to bad defenses over the course of the last month and a half. Then he gets Denver last week and he goes ham on him. So the way that he's playing right now, I'm going to ride the hot hand. I will play Trevor Lawrence over Jalen Hurts this week.
Well, the great thing that's happened for Trevor Lawrence is he's welcomed Jacoby Myers into the fold, and that's improved his passing game. It's improved. Veteran receivers could do that. Probably the only thing that would have worked better is if they had acquired Pittman.
Yeah,
I got it in, Balky.
Yeah, but I was worried.
I got it in there.
70 minutes into the show, you finally got it in. So good on you.
You were talking about baseball in the first minute through the third balance.
So that's what you normally would have weaved it in. But,
hey, this cat with a bunch of numbers in his name's got a question.
Yeah, this is RT 302-821-294 on YouTube. Quarterback question: Jackson Dart this week, Ferrell, at Las Vegas, or Tyler Shook at Tennessee? I'll weigh in on this. You feel free to agree or disagree. Shuck and Dart, surprisingly, have both used their legs, and I would say that Shuck has actually been using his legs a little bit more lately than Jackson Dart. the numbers that Shuck has put up over the course of the last month has been really, really surprising to me. You look at his finishes over the course of the last 4 weeks. Quarterback 16, quarterback 16, quarterback 6, and quarterback 12. And now he gets that Titans defense. Yeah, give me Tyler Shook this week over Jackson Dart.
I agree, Balky, and I think that was a fantastic breakdown of it. And Shook's just playing a little looser.
It's true. And I think that looseness has gotten him into the conversation of he could be the starting quarterback not only in 2026, non-zero chance he's their long-term solution.
I believe he will be.
Yeah.
It's always great to talk about a University of Louisville players.
No matter if they're 18, 28, or in Tyler Shook's case, 68. It is a blessing to talk about University of Louisville players. It's always a blessing to talk to anybody from Louisville, especially my favorite person from Louisville, the KFFSC commissioner, one Ferrell Elliott. Now, Ferrell, we have to talk about if people want to get involved in the KFFSC in 2026. You have some Super Sundays, Sweet 16s open coming up on obviously the Pro Football Championship Day. And there's also a Rocky Bleier online division that's going to be drafting here in a little bit less than 2 months already. Tell us what people need to know if they want to draft in the KFFSC for 2026.
Go online, check it out. It's under Super Sunday Sweet 16. There's 6 live spots left, Balky, and it's 96-team field drafting live at Caesar, Southern Indiana. 96 teams playing for a $10,000 grand prize and lots of other cash and prizes. And then the online element is currently scheduled for the Tuesday night after the Super Bowl. If we sell it out, we will have it then. If we need to push it back a couple of days, we will. But it's this event is in its 4th year or 5th year, one of those, and it's selling out quicker. It is somewhat exclusive because the people that love it, and a lot of the guys that are in our chat will be there, and you will be there, which is the greatest thing that we can ever say about it. And then our KFFSC schedule for our upcoming August activities and year-round activities, that'll be up here right about the first of the year. So thank you, Balky, for that plug. And any of the guys that are listening tonight, we'd love to have you come and enjoy that weekend.
KFFSC.com is where to go to register and get involved. Draft against me, draft against a lot of the people in the chat tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Tom Smith, I'm holding out that he's still coming.
I hope he's recovering.
No, he's recovering.
But hopefully
he'll play online maybe if he doesn't.
That's very possible. Ferrell, a Merry Christmas to you. I will wish you a Happy New Year, and we will do this again coming up on January 2nd is the next time you and I will go live. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Thanks so much. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
Thank you, sir.
That is Ferrell Elliott, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football. KFFSC.com is where to register for the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. That will complete our broadcast, our stream tonight, at least not our broadcast, but it will complete our stream tonight. Shout out to Craig Lewandowski, Ferrell Elliott, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you for watching tonight. We will be back next Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Fingers crossed. With the newest FFPC millionaire. I'll see what I can do as far as booking that guest coming up next week. In case you missed the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown this past Tuesday, we had 10-time FFPC champion Duke Viveros rejoin the show. That was a lot of fun. Got into a lot of start-sit discussion and how you can best move your team up several hundred places in the FFPC Big Gorilla and the FFPC Main Event with just 1 week to go. And this is a big one. And I've never done this before, but next Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time, I have booked the current leader in the FFPC Main Event heading into week 17, Brian Carrero, who we've had on this show before. He is going to come on Tuesday night. And kudos to him, man. Like, he could be coming on Tuesday, a millionaire. He could also be coming on with his tail between his legs. And I was so close. So that will be a fun show regardless on Tuesday. Now, before we get to Tuesday, we have to get to Monday. No FFPC Insider Access next Thursday because it's New Year's Day. So what what we will be doing we'll be having FFPC Insider Access, what we did this past week on Monday. Player profilers Bradley Stalder joined me this past Monday for a very fun show with watching Monday Night Football with the Colts and Niners. And then we will do another Monday show this week with Fantasy Alarms. Andrew Cooper, the tight end whisperer himself, will come on. That show is going to be 7 o'clock Eastern time this Monday on the FFPC and Better Sports Network social. So check that out there. The FFPC Weekly Challenge is live. No draft, no salary cap. Just pick 10 or 12 players, depending upon if you want to play with kickers or defenses. Remember, tomorrow afternoon, you will have the opportunity to get in the Saturday Challenge as well as Sunday afternoon in the Sunday Challenge. So 2 different challenges left for you this week. Win up to $2,500, 10-30 and 100-team contest, 1 player per NFL team, myffpc.com. If you want to get your spots locked up for the FFPC World Famous Playoff Challenge, you can do so as well. myffpc.com is where to go. There's no draft. There's no salary cap. No convoluted rules. Just pick your 12 players and watch them ride all the way to perhaps a $500,000 grand prize. $200 entry fee will get you eligible for $500,000. A $35 entry fee still gets you eligible for a $100,000 grand prize. Only 1 player per NFL team on that. We don't have the rosters live for that because we don't know who's going to be in the playoffs yet, but lock those entries up now so you don't miss out on what's going to be the best contest we have all season long at the end of the season with the world famous FFPC Playoff Challenge. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, get notified each and every time we go live. Thank you so much for watching, streaming, listening, downloading throughout the year. I hope each and every one of you had a very Merry Christmas, a very happy holiday season, and I wish you a Happy New Year. We will talk with you again on January 2nd. This channel goes live Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully the ball bounces your way on Championship Week.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
One last thing, and I think I bring this up every year. I'll just make this brief. Listen, chances are you're not winning $1 million this weekend with the FFPC. It's very, very difficult to do so. But I think Chris Vaccaro said this best on the Fantasy Empire podcast this past week. All you want is just to have that chance, to have that sweat this weekend where if you put up a 200, a 210, a 220, it could be you taking down that $1 million grand prize. Could be Craig Lewandowski, who we talked with tonight. Could be Brian Carrero, who I'm going to talk with on Tuesday night. So if you are in this situation, that a big week could turn into a $7 million or a 7-figure payday, congratulations. That is what you want. That's what we all want every single year. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy football. And I'll leave it at that. It's going to be very exciting. We'll talk with you again next week, everybody. Be good.